"Draw something for me here." And he made a drawing just with stick figures. But when he was going to draw the interior of the spaceship, he did it with a lot of detail. This guy has no way of knowing these things. Welcome back to Skywatch TV. Today, we're diving into a rather intriguing story that caught my attention. Not because it comes from your typical UFO enthusiast, but from Sérgio Sacani Sancevero, a renowned geophysicist and science communicator in Brazil. Sacani, who is not your usual UFO believer, shared a peculiar encounter he had decades ago with a humble trucker. Stick around as we unravel the details of this extraordinary story. Who is Sérgio Sacani? To understand that we are not dealing with just any report, we need to know a little bit more about Sergio before we move further. Sérgio Sacani Sancevero is a geophysicist, YouTuber, podcaster, and prominent Brazilian science communicator. Sergio also has a master's degree in petroleum science and engineering and a PhD in geosciences. With over 1.2 million followers on Instagram, Sacani is the owner of the Space Today blog. And he is not your typical UFO enthusiast. As a distinguished scientist, he doesn't buy into UFO claims without concrete evidence. It is important to mention that Sergio is a very pure and down-to-earth person who doesn't follow hype or lie to get internet attention. So I pretty much believe in his claims. The interview. In a Brazilian podcast episode, Sacani recounted an interview he conducted back in the late 80s or early 90s during the time that he worked for the UFO magazine during his teenage years. Among most of the interviews that he conducted, the one that stood out was when he interviewed a semi-literate, elderly trucker who lived in the slums. The trucker claimed to have had multiple encounters with aliens, detailing sightings and experiences that left Sacani bewildered. Let's dive into the report. I interviewed an elderly man once. He was telling me that he had several sightings and experiences with aliens. He was telling me all this so calmly. This man was a very simple person. A truck driver, around 65 to 70 years old at the time, semi-illiterate, and very poor, lived in a favela in Brazil. What caught my attention is that he basically didn't have access to any of the things he said. Sacani explained that there was a first contact, where the trucker claimed that the aliens allegedly foretold their second encounter with him 5 years in advance. The trucker told me that on his first encounter, the alien said to him, "One day, you won't even know, you won't even remember us, but one day you'll be driving your truck along the road, and we'll show up, and then we'll talk." Sacani continues to explain. And then, approximately 5 years later, he was passing by on that road. He didn't know why, but these beings already knew. He was doing some deliveries somewhere on the countryside of Minas Gerais, Brazil. As he passed by at the time and day that the ETs had scheduled, the second meeting took place. As Sacani moved forward with the interview, the trucker kept giving a lot of details about his second contact, where he claimed that he was abducted. As the interview moved forward, the trucker drew intricate sketches of the interior of the alleged alien craft, leaving Sacani both fascinated and spooked because his drawings were way too detailed. Let's hear what Sacani said in his own words. "Draw something for me here." And he made a drawing just with stick figures. But when he was going to draw the interior of the spaceship, he did it with a lot of detail. This guy has no way of knowing these things. But now, if you made it this far into the video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to this channel. It helps me a lot. Let's jump back to where we stopped. Sacani vividly recalls the trucker's calm demeanor as he shared his experiences. The details were oddly specific, considering the man's limited exposure and resources. As the interview moved forward, Sacani claimed that, absolutely out of nowhere, the trucker claimed, "I can't speak anymore because they're here, and they're making me tell you all this, and now they say I can't speak anymore." After this point, the humble trucker stopped giving any detail. The interview was over. Sacani admits feeling uneasy during his visit to the trucker's home. The man spoke with eerie precision, detailing his encounters with the extraterrestrial beings, and then ended the interview in such an odd way. Despite his skepticism towards UFOs, Sacani couldn't shake off the strange feeling that lingered. Reflecting on his experience, Sergio Sacani admits that this story, coming from such a simple individual, left a lasting impression. He speculates whether the trucker may have fabricated the tale to mess with him, leaving a subtle doubt hanging in the air. I guess we'll never know. In the world of UFO encounters, this one stands out not only for its peculiar details but for the unexpected source. The mystery lingers, and while we may never have concrete answers, the story of the humble trucker and his alleged contact with aliens remains a curious enigma. Now, let me hear your thoughts. Do you think that the trucker was telling the truth or that he was just messing with Sacani? Thank you for joining us on this journey through the unexplained. Stay tuned for more mysterious discoveries, and remember, keep your eyes on the sky and stay vigilant. Good memory is a curse.